McKinney-Vento is a conditional funding act, which means that the government gives money to the state, and then we in turn then funnel that money into the school districts.
My name is Deanna Sporleder. I live in Marshall, Missouri, and I have 3 students in the public high school here. We moved to Marshall in 2012 during the summer. We built a house, brand new house on the family farm to continue the legacy of our home. At that time, my son did have a girlfriend. She seemed to be normal teenage romance. They saw each other 24/7 basically because of school hours. They were there 7:30 in the morning until after track and cross country. They spent a lot of time together. Our troubles really began when school let out in May of 2013. May of 2014. Of course, they wanted to spend more time together. It was June, July, school wouldn't start again until August. That's when the big tornado came through Marshall, and our farm did get hit. We lost a barn and some other buildings were damaged. We had a lot of tree damage. For Mother's Day, we spent the entire day picking up tree limbs from my mother-in-law's yard and our yard, but the work wasn't done. It was going to be several days of work. Our son decided that he wasn't spending enough time with his girlfriend and started refusing to help. We had trees to cut up, we had firewood to move. He had been a tremendous help. He was a great kid. Then when the other parents came in and started telling us we couldn't force our son to help with the family, that wasn't his job. We couldn't make our child stay home. We started having a lot of problems with curfew and demands. The other family started taking our son places without our permission, saying, he's 17, you can't stop him. We tried talking to the other family, and we got into a situation where on July 4th, 2014, our 17-year-old son came into the dining room and said, I've packed my backpack, I'm spending the night with a friend. We asked, well, what friend are you spending the night with? Well, it was his 16-year-old girlfriend. And of course we said, no, you're not going to spend the night at their house. He did leave. We followed him into town after a run-in with the sheriff because we live in a rural area in the county. The sheriff deputy told us that we had no power to bring him home. We had to let him go. The city police said the same thing. We had followed him into town, knocked on the girlfriend's door, and asked, will you please come out and talk to us? We had the grandparents, we had the siblings, and we sat down for ice cream at a local restaurant. About 15 minutes into the conversation with our son about what's going on, you have 1 year of high school left. Just spend 1 more year before you decide to make this big of a life decision. The girlfriend called her stepdad. Stepdad called, showed up at the restaurant. My son decided to go get in the truck. I called the police and reported a kidnapping, that there was a man not related to us, not a part of the family, leaving with my son without my permission. It ended with about 20 minutes discussion on the phone with a social worker who said we had no parental rights, we had no power, we had to let him go. We watched him drive away in their truck. In August, I was registering my other 2 girls that are in the same high school. I spoke to the registration desk and said, what do I do about this situation? You're already aware of it. I made you aware of it during band camp. Assuming that the school was going to be responsible with their counseling, with their help and their support of the situation for the family, I trusted them. I found out it was a mistake. Not only did they tell me not to worry about it, my son was actually in the school counselor's office at that very moment, registering as an unaccompanied youth and being identified as homeless because he was in distressed housing and in a doubled up situation And since I wasn't present in the office with him at the time, I wasn't in control of him, and I was, according to them, I acquiesced my parental rights. Not knowing the seriousness of the situation at that time, we left the registration from the high school, still trusting that there was nothing odd going on. About 2 weeks after school started, my daughters came home and said, "Hey, Mom, he's wearing new clothes and new shoes, and the rumor is this school social worker took him to Walmart, took him shopping, signed him up for free lunches, and he's getting other support." So we called the school and asked if that was true. It was. So immediately we asked for a meeting with the school principal, the school counselor, and the school social worker. We met first with the social worker and the school counselor, and they confirmed, yes, we took him shopping. We were so confused. We had no idea they could do this or that they would do this. They knew our family. They knew my husband was a physician. They knew we had 5 children. Our older son had graduated from the high school before. It just didn't make sense. We didn't know what to do. We went to a lawyer. He told us we had no parental rights. He was a 17-year-old teenager that in the state of Missouri, if he wanted to leave, he could decide where he wanted to live. After that, we set up more meetings with the social worker and the principal. I didn't understand why they were being so defensive, but now I do. Since then, I have found out that through the McKinney-Vento Act, it was a federal mandate signed by Ronald Reagan in 1987, but Ronald Reagan didn't really want to sign it under pressure in the homelessness of the 1980s, centered mostly around veterans and adults. He signed it into law. In 2009, it was expanded greatly with No Child Left Behind. That is language I'm now becoming very aware of that is also connected with Common Core and other federal money. No Child Left Behind was signed into law by George Bush. That's when it began, but it's been expanded again and again and again to now it is a federal mandate that every state in the entire United States mandated to have a homeless child liaison in the school and a homeless director for every state. There is mandated curriculum, mandated posters, mandated in-service training, mandated monies to every state. You can't decide not to take it or not to use the program. It's a federal mandate. So in Missouri, the federal money comes to DESE, which is the Department of Education and Secondary Education. We have a homeless director named Donna Cash in Jefferson City. She is not an elected official, so she doesn't represent the voters. She doesn't represent me. She helps distribute the money according to grants. And last time the webinars were given, there were 11 districts in the state of Missouri receiving grant money. This is in addition to the money through the federal loop of curriculum, posters, brochures. So then I started thinking, back in 2013, when my husband and I were in town, I noticed a homeless shelter named Diggs, D-I-G-S. I started investigating that because when we registered all of our children the first year we were here, 2012-13, we were handed a brochure called the SAFE program. Safe Acceptance for Everyone program, I believe is what that stands for. And in that program, it listed doubled up housing, distressed housing, runaway youth, living with a friend. And at that time, I was very suspicious and started investigating. So even a year before this happened to us, I was already raising red flags around the community. Our church was taking a collection every month for these poor homeless youth. When I found out that 2 or 3 of my son's friends were using the homeless program to live with their girlfriends, I started getting more suspicious. I petitioned our church to stop giving money to the program. When this happened with my son and I started making the connection between the SAFE program brochure and the McKinney-Vento Act curriculum, then I started asking more questions. I also found out that the co-founder of the DIGS program here in our community is the school social worker. We are at a crossroads with the public school who believes by aligning state statutes with the McKinney-Vento Act that a 16 and 17-year-old can actually make a photocopy of this state statute, put it in their pocket, and walk around with the new given power over every adult, including the emergency room, including the school, including secondary education, and signing for federal student loans. This is very dangerous. This isn't just about our son, but our son is a very hurtful situation. My son lives in the same home with his girlfriend. He still lives in the same place he left our home to go to since July. So it's been about 6-7 months. And for the first month or two, we had some contact with him. He was still speaking with us, and we were still trying to keep communication open. After we found out about the McKinney-Vento Act and the school's involvement, he cut off all communications. Complete, just rejection of our whole family. His grandparents, his siblings, he won't talk to anyone. So when I approached the school, I approached as not only a parent, but a professional. These are clinical red flags for any counselor. And I would certainly think a school counselor dealing with adolescents on a daily basis would look at this and understand there's more to this, and perhaps it's not the parents that are the bad guy. We should talk to the parents and see what's going on. Help keep this family together. That's not the avenue they took. They have taken a complete avenue of encouraging our child not to come home. They claim that they haven't done this, but in basic behavior modification, we know that monetary reward is a reward. It will increase a behavior. It will support and encourage a behavior. My worry is that now that he has the school's blessing to do what he's doing, those communication avenues will be closed forever. We've asked that funding to be removed. We've gone through the process. There's 3 levels of grievance process that we have gone through at the local level. It ended with our local school board saying, it's a federal mandate. We have no power. We can't stop it. You can't stop it. So we're at state level grievance process right now with Donna Cash, with Desi, the same lady that I have on a recording teaching in her webinar for training to become a homeless liaison, that they don't really care why an adolescent leaves his home. The key word there is leaves his home, because all they want is the data. Data drives funding, funding drives data, and the state of Missouri wants their piece of the McKinney-Vento pie. It's very disturbing for me to hear our state coordinator speaking that way about our parents and our youth to our teachers to train them to seek, serve, and identify. It's predatory. They have to build their numbers and grow every year to get their federal money. What's going to happen when they run out of truly homeless children? They have to pull it from somewhere. And if you listen to the webinar long enough, you hear the coordinator say, 16 and 17-year-olds, they think they know it all. They may just want to leave home. I believe the state is encouraging youth to leave home by the mere curriculum and the brochures handed out to every student in the school, the posters that are mandated to be up in the school at high traffic areas introducing this idea, and having one of the bulleted points say, youth that simply want to leave home. That's encouragement. That's what my son did. He walked in and said, you can't stop me. And he left. I don't know that I can say that the school has taken an active process of bringing the family back together. I don't have a statement for that. They have taken an active step to divide and destroy our family. When we have a school district that encourages the idea that they're not really doing anything to change a behavior, but yet they're putting money into it and then trying to deny professionally that they're encouraging or in any way supporting, I think we have to look at the spectrum of, if you're really staying neutral, we have the choice of taking money away as the extreme negative, or pouring money into it, which is the positive. If you're neutral, you stay in the middle. You don't get involved. And if they aren't supporting the situation, why did they enter the student information system, remove his grandparents, remove his siblings, and move us from parent to alternate parent? Why are we now unimportant? Why is the girlfriend's mother and stepdad his emergency contact? When they had parent-teacher conferences first quarter, when I walked in, picked up the folders for my 2 daughters, they handed me a folder for my son as well. Little did I know there were 2 folders for my son, one for me and one for the girlfriend's mom. He was still 17. I look up, and there's my son doing parent-teacher conferences with his girlfriend's mom. To me, that isn't a neutral position. They're not trying to say, let's have all 4 of you guys come in, let's mediate, let's talk about what's going on, let's figure out a solution to this problem. They're not doing that. They're keeping the walls up. And when I look on the information system on the sister's information, he has been removed from their information as well. And why isn't the school playing a more active role in trying to coordinate communication between the siblings? Regardless of how they feel about my husband and myself, there have been no allegations. It's just simply he wanted to move out. I think we have very clear fences put up now. There is a fence between our family and the school, and they've put it up. That relationship that we've had with the school through my entire older son's education career, it was open. We were volunteering in the community. We knew the teachers, we knew the coaches. One of the coaches especially was instrumental in helping our move into the community. Our son played soccer, and the coaches were instrumental. We always got great feedback on, your kids are great, we love what we see, you guys must be really good parents. We were always getting kudos from everybody in the school. This year that's different. That has changed drastically. Now we have a feeling that that lock on the school door now is to keep us out. We're the dangerous one. We're the enemy. In essence, I'm paying my school to pay my son to run away. We can't put words on this. We can't put words or a value on what we've lost. My son is basically gone. I accept that. My fear is for the parents coming up behind us that have no idea that there are people in the schools actively teaching their children that they have rights to sexual liberty, that they have rights to birth control, that they have rights to act any way they want, and that their parents are just traditionalists, out of touch, shouldn't be listened to. I fear that those parents have no idea. They drop their kids off every day, expecting the school to respect our rights as parents, to keep our children safe, to educate them, and then send them home to us. That's not what's happening.